Press the little button on your screen. There we go. All right, good morning, everybody. Find your seat. Let's start with that. My thought this week that I've been working with is on becoming friends with your mind, right? And where that kind of comes from is that we have this fundamental teaching in yoga that says, I am not this body, I am not this mind. And so if I'm not this body or I'm not this mind, that's a great realization because it means that we're not determined by whatever's going on in your mind, right? Your thoughts do not determine who you are. The way your mind is working does not determine, right, what your full experience of life is. And that's brilliant. That's fantastic. And at the same time, the moment we come to that realization, what we often do is we create this separation and say, excellent, I'm not my mind, so I'm going to shove it over there because it's a problem, right? Or we start to dissect it and say that these are all the issues that my mind has, and therefore I always have these issues that I have to work through. So the mind becomes an enemy, or the ego becomes the reason for why we suffer. That's what happens in the text a lot, is everything gets blamed on the ego. And then we have this divide in us, right? We have this divide where there's this part of us that is always somehow, quote, working against us instead of being really integrated into just who we are. And this is what the full realization of yoga is that there is no separation between the body and the mind and our higher awareness. It's all one. So as long as we have that divide within us and we're feeding that, is we feed our own sense of separation, right? We start to create it from inside. And then we wonder how come we can't dissolve it from outside, right? So the practice that we have is to start to realize that, yes, you are not bound by the activity of your mind. It doesn't dictate who you are. But your mind is your greatest ally in knowing not just the world, but also in being able to know that infinite self. How else are you going to experience it except through this mind and this body, right? So we practice becoming friends with that. And by becoming friends with how our mind works and what our mind does, is we're able to start to dissolve that separation from within, right? We start to actually feel that our mind is a tool, that it's part of that higher awareness, not separate from, right? So let your eyes close for a moment. And this is the goal of yoga, right? Is to be able to dissolve that sense of separation, that somehow I'm always stuck in so many different places and wondering, how do I come together as one? How do I actually become whole? Well, we dissolve it from the inside. So as you start to settle into your breath, maybe bring into your mind a visualization of your mind as an entity, right? As a personality. And as though you could sit across from your mind, so across a table or across a room or just face to face. You have this image of you sitting face to face with your mind. And in that space that's in between, right, your mind and your awareness of your mind, the space that's in between, can you fill it in with love, friendliness, feeling of together, a feeling of connection? It's literally sitting with your own mind and just filling in that space. The same way we would do Maitri meditation, extending that loving kindness to another being, you extend it to literally your mind and then back to yourself. It's an endless flow back and forth. We say loving kindness or friendliness because it doesn't mean that you have to like every aspect of your mind. You can accept it for what it is. And by accepting it, it starts to become something that works with you and not against you. So whatever that personality of the mind is, continue to flow to it and from it. That feeling of friendliness. Even if you have no idea what you're doing, flow it anyway. And if we cultivate this relationship with our mind, then while we practice, that same energy flows through the body. And that same energy flows through then the rest of your life, because you're not looking for there to be that avoidance of yourself. Dissolve the separation from within. One more deep breath, holding the image of you and your mind and there being just friendliness. And as you exhale, release the breath, release the image. If you choose, bring your hands together in front of the heart, palm to palm, rub your palms. Good, fast, fast, fast. Say if you haven't set your hands on fire, you're not going fast enough. There you go. And then steady the hands at the heart, please, feeling the fingertips pressing together, the heels of the hands pressing together, widen your elbows, lift your sternum. So again, get tall from the inside. Then we'll open sound of Om, deep breath in. Let the eyes float open. Nice, you guys. Release the hands. Stay seated. Bring your hands to your knees or your thighs. And start to cat-cow your spine. Inhaling, lifting up through the chest, lifting through the back of your throat on that inhale. So again, everything is getting long. And then the exhale, you're dropping the chin down towards the chest, but also pulling up through the backs of your ears. Good. So continue to move with your cat and cow, but really pay attention to how long you take the neck on the inhale. And then even on the exhale, as you're dropping the head, same thing, widen the backs of your shoulders and lift through the back of your throat. Good. And keep moving that way. Inhaling, long, long, long spine from inside. Exhaling, long, long, long back body. Good. Nice, you guys. Really paying attention that you're not letting the head just fall forward and back, but that you're really lifting through the throat. Nice. Good. And then on your next exhale, release that movement. Come back to stillness. Stretch the arms up alongside your ears. Interlace your fingers, press heels of the hands up towards the sky. And again, pulling in and up. So everything from the base of your spine pulls in and up. So squeeze those shoulder blades down towards your hips, but pull up through the fingertips, pull up through the top of your head. Good. And then bend your elbows, bring your hands back behind your head, stay just as tall in your spine. Press your head back into your hands so you have a little bit of resistance, and then squeeze your elbows forward just a little bit. Good. So again, you're pressing the back of your head into your hands. Chin is neutral to the floor. Squeeze your elbows in, and then draw your rib cage back and in, and start to lift your heart up towards the sky. Keep this angle on your neck where you're lengthening, squeezing the elbows in, but pressing the head back into the hands. Tilt your sternum up towards the sky. So find just a little bit of a back bend. Beautiful. And then come back up to center, please. Good. Take your left hand to your outer right knee. Right hand is still behind your head. Twist to your right. Good. Right hand is still behind your head. Soften your rib cage back, so round into your back rib cage. Do you drop more onto your sit bones? Good. And then lean over to the left, please. Hand is still behind your head. So you're pressing your head into that hand. Elbow is bent. Good. Twisting to the right, leaning to the left. Beautiful. Keep the head pressing back, and then go ahead and extend that right arm to straight if you choose. Keeping it behind your head means that you're not going to drop your head at a crazy angle. Keep your hand behind your head. Good. And then still stretching to that side, look down and towards the left, please. So look towards that left knee. Good. And then look back up any amount towards the sky. Maybe it's not a full look up, but look up in the other direction. Nice. And then as you release, cross that right arm over top of the left. So you're on opposite hands, opposite knees, crossed arms. Drop your chin towards your chest, round into your back. And as you press your knees into your hands, bend your elbows and squeeze your knees. So you draw your shoulders away from your ears and then pull up through your back rib cage again. Good. And then release that, please, stretching the arms all the way up to the sky again. Interlace your fingers, press heels of the hands up. Again, pulling up from the base of your spine, so below your belly button, pull up. Draw your rib cage in, Pull everything in and up from the center. Good. And then bend the elbows, hands behind your head, staying just as tall. Press the head back into your hands. Good. So you press into the head into the hands with the elbows wide, and then squeeze the elbows slightly in and drag those elbow tips down. So it's like you're plugging the arms into the shoulders. Good. And then twisting to your left, please, hands behind the head. Good. So you find the twist by drawing into your navel. Good. Drawing your rib cage back, twisting through the trunk. Nice. Left hand stays where it is. Right hand reaches for your left knee. Good. And then you can use that right elbow. You can use that right hand on the knee to twist yourself a little deeper. Keep your head pressing back into your hand. And then lean your torso to the right. Hand is still behind your head. Good. If your ribs are falling forward into an arch here, draw back. Keep softening the front body back and opening the side body more. Nice. And then go ahead and stretch that left arm all the way to straight over the ear if you'd like. Again, keeping the hand behind the head might feel like it's more supportive, which means you can leave it there. Good. Take your gaze down into the right, please. So you're still reaching, but you're turning the head. And then bring it back towards center and look up any amount towards that left armpit. Beautiful. And then as you release the twist, cross that arm in front of you, both hands reaching for opposite knees. Bend the elbows wide, press your knees into your hands, drop your chin towards your chest. Good. Round into the back ribs. Beautiful. Shoulders drop away from the ears. Good. Use that pressure of the knees and the hands. Awesome. And then slowly release, please. Come all the way back up and come forward to hands and knees. Nice. Shoulders and neck. There you go. You're done. I tell you to go home, but you are home. Downward facing dog, please. Tuck your toes, lift your hips. Beautiful. Good. Start to pedal your feet in your down dog. So finding your spine. Finding your literal dogs also. Good. And then let your heels steady towards the floor. Bend both knees a lot. Drop your knees towards the floor. Then cat-cow your spine here and downward facing dog. Good. Remember that feeling of keeping your neck really long. So as you're moving your spine, don't get into that feeling of craning your neck forward and back. Maybe you don't look as far forward, but you lift through the back of your throat more, and that helps you to pull your arm bones into your shoulder socket. Good. One of our favorite things to say is that wherever we're tight or where we have issues is trying to guide us to learn something, understand something. But usually we just want to figure out what the problem is so we can make it go away. We don't actually understand what's going on. We just say, fix it. Then we do the same thing to our mind, right? So can you actually really feel yourself lengthening through your throat, drawing the arms up into the shoulders? Beautiful. Good, you guys. Come back to stillness, please. Letting your heels move towards the floor, thighs move up and back. Awesome. And then walk your feet forward towards your hands, please. Standing forward fold. Good. If you have a block, place a block between your upper thighs. If you don't have a block, just imagine one. Good. And then hands still touching the floor, block between the upper thighs. Good. Bend your knees, please, as though you're going to drop back towards chair. Keep your fingers on the floor. Keep your head dropped. So it's just your hips moving back. Press into your heels and hug that block. Good. And then scoop your belly away from your thighs. Keep your head dropped. Start to straighten your legs. Press your hips up towards the sky. Good. Continue to reach up through your hips and down through your heels, but don't push your knees back. Good. And then bend your knees again, dropping back towards that chair position, relaxing the head, relaxing the shoulders. Good. Same thing. Scoop your belly a little bit more. Start to straighten the legs. Press your hips up towards the sky. Press down through your heels. Should feel like you can never come to a locked knee. That's the idea. Good. Last time like this, bend your knees, dropping down towards that modified chair. Curl into your belly. Take your butt towards the sky. Press down through your heels. Good. Again, stretching through the legs, through the back. Awesome. And then bend your knees even deeper. Come into a full chair pose. Block still between the thighs. Take the arms up alongside your ears. Good. Draw the lowest part of your belly up off of your thighs and then send your hips back just a little bit more. So drop your torso parallel to the floor for a moment. So your butt really goes back. Good. Thighs parallel the floor. Butt really goes back. There you go. Now maintain that and start to lift your chest higher from your low belly, from your ribs. That's it. And then keep hugging that block. Come all the way up to stand. Come up on your tippy toes, holding the block between the thighs. Rise up onto your balls of your feet. Good. Pull up through the tops of your thighs, but don't push your hips forward. That's it. And then drop your heels back to the floor. Bend your knees. Come back to chair. Butt moves back behind your heels. Drop your torso parallel to the floor. Butt really goes back and navel in. Good. And now start to lift your chest again. Keep your butt nice and low. That's it. Really good. And then come all the way up to stand. Rise up onto the balls of your feet. Pull up through the tops of your thighs, but take the tops of your sit bones back and wide, or the top of your hip bones back and wide. There you go. And then drop down to your heels again. Last time, bend your knees, drop into chair. Butt goes back, torso drops parallel to the floor. Good. And then stay that low and start to lift your chest again. Nice. Now take your hands back behind you, interlace your fingers at the low spine, still in chair. Draw your rib cage back and in like you're trying to cat your back. Press your hips back more. Good. Now start to straighten your legs, drop the head, take the arms up and over any amount as you come into a forward fold, pressing your hips up towards the sky. Don't let your knees lock back. Take your weight slightly forward and really focus on, can I pull my tailbone up and press my heels down? Good. And then release the hands to the floor, please. Nice job. Place your block to the side. Good. Nicely. Beautiful. And then take your hands to the front of your shins, please. Come up halfway. So navel draws in, lift and lengthen your spine. Good. Don't let your knees lock back. So weight forward. That's it. Nice, Kim. And then bow forward again, keeping your hips nice and high. Lengthen your spine. Good. And then bring the hands to your hips. Come all the way up to stand. You got it. Hug your right knee up and towards your chest. Choo, choo, choo. Yep, right knee. There you go. As the right knee comes in, press the top of your left thigh up and back. So it's like you're pushing your butt backwards towards an imaginary wall. Your shoulders are going to come slightly forward. Good. And now take that right knee wide for tree pose. So the knee goes out to the side, bottom of the foot to the inside of the left leg. Again, wherever it's resting today, high or low, doesn't matter. But have this feeling that you are pressing the foot and the leg against each other, drawing in towards that midline, and then pull straight up. So take your arms up to the sky. Good. So as you squeeze in, everything pulls straight up. Good. Again, from the lowest part of your pelvis, press into your legs, press into your feet, and pull up. Beautiful. Good. One more breath. Nice. And then spin that right knee forward again, please. Pull it up towards your chest, no hands. That's it. And then step that foot down to the floor, bend your knees, drop back into chair. Don't think about it. Take your hands back behind you, interlace your fingers in chair. Good. Imagine that that block is still there. So you've got this sense of stability between the legs, around the legs. Good. Start to straighten the thighs, please, taking your hips up towards the sky, bow forward, arms up and over any amount. Good. Try not to lock your elbows either. So keep a little bend in your elbows and see if you can feel again that you are drawing the shoulder blades towards each other instead of just trying to straighten the arms. Nice. Good, Diane. Nice, Jane. And then release the hands down to the floor, please. Good. Inhale, lift and lengthen. Take your hands up to the front of your shins. Deep breath. And then exhale, bow deeply again. Good. Hands to your hips. Come all the way up to stand. Nice. Tree pose for the second side. Bring your left knee up and towards your chest. As that knee comes in, top of your right thigh pushes back and wide, or pushes up and back like there's a wall behind you. And then let the left knee go out to the side, bottom of the foot to the inside of the right leg. And again, focusing on that pressing together. Good. The pressing together is what creates a sense of, again, unity, togetherness through the body, right? That your stable line, your balance is not to the right and the left. It's straight through the center. Arms up to the sky. Good. So the idea of that is that by squeezing into the center is we're less likely to push our right hip out to the right. Right? And that's what we want, is to have those inner and outer thigh muscles really working coordinated to be able to pull us straight up and long. Good. Nice, you guys. One more breath. Really squeeze in from the lowest part of you. Pull up. Nice. And then bring that left knee facing forward, please. Step that foot down to the floor. Press back into chair pose. So plant the feet, hips go back. Nice. And then bring the hands back behind you. Interlace the fingers at your low spine. Good. Belly up off of your thighs, butt moves back. Nice, you guys. And then drop the head, please, taking the legs towards straight, lifting the hips, arms come up and over any amount. Good, really press into your heels, Mark. There you go. Awesome, you guys. And then release the hands down to the floor. Good. Inhale, lift and lengthen, come up onto fingertips or hands to the front of your shins. Even here, long throat, right? So you don't have to look forward for your throat to be long. You can look down and press up and then bow deeply again, relaxing the head. Good. Step your right leg back behind you to lunge. Nice. Inhale the arms up to the sky, high lunge. Good. Front knee over the front ankle. So let yourself really go there. That's it. And then hands back behind your head, elbows wide. Good. Same thing. You're pressing back through the back of your head, chin neutral to the floor. Squeeze your elbows in just a little bit and then start to lift your sternum up towards the sky. And as you lift your sternum up, you lift your hip points up, dig your elbow tips down. So you're plugging those arms into the shoulders and lifting the chest up, like the back of your heart is going to rise up through your chest. Good. And then stretch the arms all the way alongside your ears, reach back even more, get taller in your back bend, pull up and reach back. That's it. And then come all the way back up to center, please. Release the hands down to the floor. Nice job. Step your right foot forward just a little bit. Take both legs to straight Parsvottanasana. Good. Use blocks underneath the hands if you need. Let that right hip spin forward, left hip, left low belly lifts up and wide. Good. Nice, you guys. Watch that right knee, so the back leg especially, that you're not locking that knee, because this happens a lot, right? That we just push through the back knee and we don't worry about the fact that the front leg refuses to come to straight. So we'll lock the back leg, keep the front knee bent and say, this is a pose that I dislike. So really work to try and curl into your belly more, press into that front foot more so that you're really lengthening the front leg and let the back knee soften. That's it. Really good. Nice, Susan. Nice, Elena. Awesome, you guys. Take your hands to your hips, please. Come all the way up to stand. Don't change the legs. So that's a little trick, right? If you can't come up to stand from that position, your feet are too narrow, I guarantee it. So adjust if you need, then take the hands back behind you, interlace the fingers at the low spine. Good. While you're upright, lift your hip points higher. That's it. And then send the tops of your thighs slightly back. Good. And then bow forward over the front leg, taking the arms up and over any amount without locking that back knee. So again, soften the back knee and take that top thigh of the front leg way up and back. Nice, Ludmila. Good, Robin. Nice, Lena. Nice, Juliet. Good, you guys. Release the hands down to the floor. Awesome job. Bend your left knee, please, and then step back, downward facing dog. Good. Slide forward to plank pose, upward push up. Good. Lower down slow, coming through knees first if you need. Good. Rise up cobra, lift head, neck, and chest. Maybe don't make it your biggest cobra. Start out a little smaller. Nice, Andra. Good. And then lower down again so that your forehead comes towards the floor. And as you're pressing into your hands for cobra, maybe come up onto your fingertips. I think I want you to do that. So come up onto the fingertips of your hands. Good. And then really start to work the front of your rib cage away from the floor. So you're starting to round up into your back rib cage. And then as you press into your fingertips, I want you to feel that hug of the upper back. So you're squeezing your shoulder blades, but pushing your elbows slightly wide. And then as you pull your ribs up away from the floor, press down into your feet. Now uncurl your spine into cobra, lifting your chest forward and up. Good. So you feel yourself working from the back, from inside. Good. Nice, you guys. And then slowly release, please. Come back, downward facing dog. Awesome, you guys. Right foot steps forward between the hands, lunge. Inhale the arms to the sky, high lunge. Good. So again, you're finding the front knee over the front ankle. And then my favorite thing to do these days, or I remember that's a thing that I like to do, is really press through your front heel. So lift the toes of your front foot. So not the whole ball of your foot, just the toes. So you're pressing into the ball of your foot and your heel, almost like you're trying to squeeze the arch of that front foot. Good. So you get your back of your thigh engaged a little more. Now take your hands back behind your head, elbows wide. Chin neutral to the floor, so not looking up, looking straight ahead. Press the head back into the hands, and then squeeze the elbows towards each other and start to lift your sternum up towards the sky. So the front of your chest, your collarbones go up, 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 and you're still hugging those elbows in and drag them down. So your arm bones are pulling into the center of your chest. Good. Now stretch the arms to straight alongside the ears and reach taller. So pull up out of your hips, bigger back bend, lean back. Good, and press through that front heel. Nice. And then bring it all the way back up to center. Beautiful. Release the hands down to the floor. Wobbling is part of the pose, so good job. Step your left foot forward just a little bit. Both legs come to straight, Parsvottanasana. Good. Turn your left hip forward more. And as that hip turns forward, see if you can find your right low belly muscles and lift that belly off of your thigh. Nice. And then don't forget to breathe. Right? The mind, it said, cycles through these states, right? That we can call it a positive mind, a negative mind, or a neutral mind. And sometimes there are whole practices that are sort of dedicated to just trying to get the mind into that neutral space, neutral mind. And in all those categories, can you remember that it's all the same mind? It's either acting in a way that is considered positive or negative or neutral, but it's the same mind, same capacity. So as much as you are looking to understand your mind and find your own ways that you have become confused about yourself because of the activity of your mind, remember that all of the greatness of you lives there too, not just your problems. So the mind is either your greatest ally because that's what you feel about your mind, or it's your greatest enemy because that's what you insist your mind is. Yoga says, instead of that dichotomy, those oppositions, can you just feel that your mind and your body and that higher awareness are all one? Dissolve that sense of separation. And dissolve it with what? Love. Take your hands to your hips, come all the way up to stand. And it's in any moment, right? So you catch your mind in a moment of positive or negative reaction and add love to that. You catch your mind in a neutral place, add love to that, right? Take your hands back behind you, interlace your fingers, lift up through your hip points a little more because you're vertical. So you actually pull the top of your pelvis up off of your thighs. Good. And then take the tops of your thighs slightly back. Nice. Now start to forward fold. Take the arms up and over any amount. Good. Maybe keeping that awareness in the feet where the ball of the foot and the heel are squeezing towards each other so that you have this sense of really drawing energy up the legs instead of having all of the weight of your body coming down. Nice, Susan. Nice, Janet. Good, Debbie. Good, Allison. Lift that, Allison, take that right butt cheek back and in a little more. Good. Release your hands down to the floor, please. Awesome. And then step yourself back downward facing dog. I just realized I have 3 Allisons today. Sorry. You're probably all wondering who I was talking to. Good. Slide forward to plank pose, upward push up. I was probably talking to all of you. Lower down slow, coming through knees first if you need. Good. Point the toes back behind you. Keep your right hand pressed where it would be for Cobra. So right hand in Cobra, extend your left arm straight forward in front of you. So right elbow is bent in Cobra, left arm forward. It's a one-armed Cobra. So press down into your feet, press down into that right hand. Inhale, lift head, neck, and chest. Take your left arm up alongside your ear. So lift that arm up off the floor. Good. Remember that you are drawing in and up from the front of your rib cage. Good. And then release all the way back down. Switch the hands. Plant the left hand alongside your ribs, right arm forward. Inhale again, dragging the collarbones forward and up as you rise up into Cobra. Right arm comes up alongside your ear. Again, draw in and up through your rib cage. Find your back. And then release all the way back down. Switch the hands again. Right hand plants, left arm forward. Rise up into Cobra, lifting that arm alongside your ear. Nice. Release down. Switch hands again. Left hand down, right arm forward. Good. Rise up again. One-armed Cobra. Feel those shoulder blades on your back. Nice, all of my Allisons. Release back down. One more time, right hand plants, left arm forward. It's the name of a sitcom, it has to be, all my Allisons. Rise up, cobra, one arm. Don't get distracted. Slowly release, switch the arms one more time. Left hand plants, right arm forward. Rise up, feeling your back. And then slowly release, please. Nice job. Press up to hands and knees and come back to child's pose. Contemplate the meaning of your existence. Good. Find your breath. We're always in that tricky place when there's an area of the body that's tight where I know we just want to fix it, and we want to fix it in the nicest way possible. And I say nicest meaning with the least amount of work required. It's always how it is. I want the solution to feel better than the problem. But when there's that restriction or there is that tightness in any areas, we have to actually strengthen as well as release. We have to use as well as unwind. So that's our intelligence, right? Is that we do both. So yoga practices, we do both. What needs to be enlivened and what needs to be relaxed. Where do we need more focus and where do we have to let go? But when it comes to the mind, is we're ready to throw the whole thing out the window and say, forget it, let's start over. So do the same thing as you start to become aware of your mind and say, where is there spaces in my thinking that can be elevated and where can I let go? My mind is just this repository when we're unaware of it. It's this repository of our experiences, this life and other lives. So there's nothing wrong with those experiences. It's simply understanding them for what they are. Walk yourself back up onto hands and knees. Take your right arm out wide to the right. And slide that arm behind your left wrist. Right shoulder finds the floor. Thread the needle. You got it. And then walk your left arm forward towards straight. Good. Press into both shins. Good. Completely available here, that arm that is overhead. If you bend the elbow a little bit, come up on your fingertips, as you can push into that hand a little bit more, pull that arm bone more into your shoulder, and then really work the left shoulder open over the right a little bit more. Yeah, nice, Robin. Good. Katrin, watch that right hip doesn't fall in, push it wide. There you go. Nice, you guys. And then find your way all the way out, please, back to hands and knees. And go the other way. Take your left arm out and wide. Slide behind the right wrist. Good. Right arm walks forward towards straight. Make sure that when you come down that your shoulder is not super close to your knees. If you're like, snuggled in where your arm is almost touching your knees, move your arm and shoulder forward. Let your hips move forward a little bit. Because you want to have the full length of your side body available here. Good. Tendency is for that right hip to sway out to the right. So draw it back and in. So lean that right hip back and in. Good. And then again, if you bend that elbow that's overhead, you can press into that hand and work the rotation of your ribs a little bit more. Nice. Right, we're meant to actually discover the body through the poses. We're meant to actually discover our mind through our practice, not to dissect it and get rid of it. By understanding what's there, we start to let it unify with that higher awareness. And that's what we call yoga, when that sense of separation dissolves. Walk yourself all the way back up to hands and knees. Good. Downward facing dog. Tuck the toes, lift the hips. Nice. Then take the right leg up and back behind you, down dog split. Good. Bend the knee, take your heel in towards your butt, stack the right hip on top of the left. So open inner thigh. Don't let that left heel drop open though. Squeeze that heel in. Good. And then point the knee towards the floor. Step your right foot between the hands, lunge, and then drop the back heel for warrior two. Baby toe parallels back of your mat. Cartwheel the arms up, shoulders over the hips. Good. And then take the hands back behind you, interlace your fingers at the low spine. Good. Lean your shoulder forward, lean your side body forward as though you're coming into side angle. So just lean towards the front of your mat, over the front thigh, but not touching. And then stretch your arms towards straight, like you're pulling your hands towards your back heel, and twist your ribs open. So stack that left rib cage over the right. Good. Widen that front knee. Don't let it fall in. That's it. Nice, you guys. Deep breath. Draw your chin towards your chest, but open the sternum. That's it. And then scoop into your belly. Turn your shoulders now towards the floor. Bow inside your front knee. Take the arms up and over any amount. Keep squeezing your feet together. Good. Pressing through that front heel. Don't let your weight fall all into the ball of your foot. Squeeze your feet together. Good. And then release the hands down to the floor. Nice job. Keep your front knee over the front ankle, both hands inside the front foot. Walk to your left just a little bit until you feel resistance. So you're still in that warrior two lunge. You're just walking your hands slightly to the left. Good. And keep widening that right knee. Good. Nice, you guys. And then walk yourself all the way to the left until you come to the center of your mat. Straighten the right leg. Turn your toes. Prasarita Padottanasana. Nice job. Good, Lisa. Nice, Heidi. Awesome, you guys. Find long breaths where your sit bones are rising up. You feel the whole length of your legs and the length of your spine. Good. And sometimes there's nothing else to do, right? You can make this pose as fancy as you want it to be. But maybe just try to find the length of your legs here. Nice. At the end of your next breath, start to walk yourself back towards the top of your mat. Right toes turn forward. Spin your left heel up. Keep both hands to the inside of your front foot. And then flex that right foot a lot. Drop onto the baby toe. Let your knee go wide. If you need to drop the back knee here for that, you absolutely can. Good. Nice, you guys. So the knee is going wide. Back knee can be on the floor or lifted. Beautiful. And then if you can, left hand to the floor, right arm to the sky twist. Good. Again, you're making smart choices. So if having the back knee on the floor is the best choice, have the back knee on the floor. Good. Sarah, push that left hip wider to the left. There you go. And then let your whole pelvis come forward. Yep. Nice, Tatiana. Good, Debbie. Nice, Andra. And then release the hand. Please take that foot back to flat. Beautiful. And then lift the back knee, please. Take the right leg up and back, down, dog split. Good. Pulling back through that heel. So it's like all of your weight is going straight up and back. You're pulling the hips back. Yeah. And then release that foot down to the floor, please. Nice job. Vinyasa, if you choose, child's pose if you prefer. If you're doing the vinyasa, you're coming forward to plank, lowering down to your belly, rising up cobra or upward facing dog. Those of you who are there. Nice, Juliet. And then coming back to downward facing dog. Beautiful. And then as you are ready, left leg up and back behind you, down dog split. Good. Bend the knee, heel in towards your butt. Stack the left hip on top of the right. Good. Without letting that right heel fly open. So squeeze it in. Top of your right thigh up and back. Good. Point the left knee towards the floor. Step the left foot between the hands. Lunge. Good. Drop the back heel. Warrior two. So your back foot parallels the back of your mat. Shoulders over the hips. Nice. And then take your hands back behind you. Interlace your fingers at the low spine. So watch already that you are setting yourself up so that your front knee is pointing towards your second or third toe. So let your pelvis rotate slightly so that your knee can go where it needs to go. Good. Then lean your shoulders forward like you're coming into side angle. Stretch the arms back like you're reaching your hands at the same angle as that back heel. And then turn your right rib cage open more on top of your left. Good. You can absolutely press into that left foot. Maybe feel the lift of the toes again. Nice, Renee. Just turn that rib cage open. There you go. Good, you guys. And then scoop your belly, please. Turn your shoulders towards the floor. Now take your chest inside that front thigh. Arms up and over any amount. Keep your back heel on the floor. Good. So it's like you're in warrior two, but a bowing warrior two. Squeeze that left butt cheek in towards the midline of your mat. Keep your hips in line with your ankles. There you go. Good. Release the hands down to the floor, please. Don't change the legs. Both hands inside the front foot. Walk to your right just a little bit until you feel resistance. Resistance is when your knee wants to fall in and your butt wants to pop out. And if you already did both of those things, reverse it. I know, I see you. Good. Nice, you guys. And then walk yourself all the way to the right, straighten the legs, Prasarita Padottanasana, turn your toes, lift and spread your toes. So again, you get into the wideness of your feet. And then drop the toes, relax them, and relax the head. Good. Maybe hold opposite elbows or holding the ankles. Beautiful. But let your spine hang. Nice catching. Good. Debbie, it might be just the angle that I'm looking at, but make sure that that left knee is not buckling in. There you go. Nice, you guys. You're finding the length of your legs. So if you're wondering what's supposed to be happening here is you're supposed to be breathing more up the length of your legs into your lower spine. I think that's what happens. We hold a pose and we're like, what am I waiting for? No idea. You're breathing longer through your legs, breathing longer through your spine. Good. And then release the hands back to the floor. Walk yourself towards your right thigh, please, like you're turning your belly towards your right thigh. So your legs are still wide. You're just walking yourself into a side stretch over that right leg. Good. Turning the belly. And then walk yourself back towards center, please. And again, keeping the hips square in front of you, walk your belly towards your left thigh. Good. Keep that right hip drawing back and wide. So again, you're not turning the pelvis with you. You're just turning the trunk. Nice, Heidi. Nice, Tatiana. Good, Sarah. Diane, nice job. Good, Lisa. Good, Susan. And then walk yourself back to center, please. Beautiful. One more exhale. Bow a little deeper. Good. Soften your knees because the longer we are in this pose, the more we hyperextend. I know, I've been there. And then walk yourself back towards the top of your mat. Left toes turn forward, right heel spins up. And then take your both hands inside the front foot again. Flex that left foot a lot. Drop the knee wide. And again, back knee can come to the floor here or stay lifted, your choice. But if the knee is staying lifted, don't let your thigh sag, right? Keep it up in line with your hip. Beautiful. And then right hand to the floor, left arm to the sky twist if you can. Again, that might not be an option, or you might need to take the back knee to the floor for that to make sense. But let your knee drop wide, belly pulls away. Nice, open, open, open. Beautiful, Janet, really good. Nice, Ludmila. Good, Mark. And then go ahead and release, guys. Foot to the floor, hand to the floor. Lift that back knee if it's down, and then take your left leg up and back to down dog split. Good. Pull back through that heel and then release the foot down to the floor, please. Nice job. Slide forward to plank pose. Lower down to your belly. Good. Stretch the arms, reaching back towards your feet, palms facing down, pointing the toes. Float the legs up off the floor for locust. And then again, from the front of your rib cage, before you lift your shoulders, pull the low rib cage in and up away from the floor. And then lift from your back, chest up off the floor, float your arms up, reaching back towards the feet. So locust pose, whole body lifts. But again, not by pushing forward into the floor, but by pulling up from the front of your body, lift up. Really nice. And then optional, bend your knees here, kick your heels in, either reach for your feet or not, right? So you can absolutely bend the knees and not reach for your feet. If you reach for your feet, kick those feet into your hands, take your thighs a little higher. Again, pull your ribs in to feel your back pulling towards your heels, back of your head, getting super long. Really nice. Squeeze those knees towards each other. And then slowly release. Really good. Unwind everything. Rest on your belly for a moment. Turn one cheek to the side or make a pillow with your hands. You can wiggle the hips. You never need permission to wiggle your hips. Just saying. Again, find yourself breathing through the entire body. Right? To become friends with your mind. It's really, I think, our greatest challenge, right? Is to recognize that all of the great things that you have done in your life, everything that you love about you, is just as much part of your mind as the things that you think need to change, that need to be corrected. And it's perfectly okay to acknowledge that the mind sometimes acts in crazy ways, and you can love it anyway. You can appreciate it anyway, accept it anyway. Because it's through that acceptance that we start to gain the ability to relate to our mind in a friendlier way. And it's through that friendliness that the mind is actually more able to change. Turn your cheek to the other side if you have it turned. So to have your mind be a personality that you interact with. An interesting way to decide if you can be friends with that version of yourself, part of yourself, or if you refuse to be friends with that part of yourself. This is one of our fundamental teachings. We say, I'm not this body, I'm not this mind, and that is not a reason to try and throw it away. The ego especially gets a lot of bad rap, but in these subtle bodies, the ego is said to stand at the doorway of your bliss. It's right there in the bliss body, closest to your soul. The ego says, I am the one that will help you to understand your bliss. And if you can't understand me, the way it works, how can you understand that? How do you experience it? So don't make an enemy of your mind. Don't divide yourself. Don't create separation. Or don't feed the sense of separation that's already there. Dissolve. Bring the forehead back to the floor, please. Good. Plant the hands, press back to downward facing dog. Good. Take the right leg up and back behind you. I know you're moving slower and slower. Bring the knee forward and wide for pigeon. Right knee towards the right wrist. Good. Sliding the left leg back. Nice. Good. And as you set the pelvis again, back hip spins forward a little bit more. Top of that right thigh goes wide. Right hip point goes wide. And then let yourself walk forward onto your forearms or blocks, whatever you'd like. And if you're doing pigeon on your back, fantastic. The power of your mind cannot be denied. It said that it's the projection of the mind that creates the world, outside world. And that we create that outside world largely based on the relationship that we have with our mind on the inside. And so if you look outside and you're like, wow, it's a mess out here. Where is there mirrors of those patterns inside of you, in your own mind, towards your own mind? And maybe it's not so clear there. Maybe you find it much more in relation to other minds, other people. But to know yourself, your infinite self, is you can only really do it through your mind. So we make the mind an ally that is aligned with higher consciousness. And when that is the pattern that is running through it, then that becomes the powerful influence over the world, inner and outer. But if you think you're going to bypass your mind and get to that, then you're going to struggle. Get your mind to be a friend in that process. One more deep breath. And then if you are on your back, find your way up to sit. If you are pigeon facing the floor, walk yourself back up onto your hands. Sit towards your right thigh. Take your left leg around in front of you. And I know you're hoping for Gomukhasana, but fire log. Instead, stack your left shin or left heel on top of right knee. Good. So stacking the left shin on top of the right. So any variation of that. So not Gomukhasana, fire log, right? So shin on knee to, ankle to knee. One on top of the other. Left leg on top of right. Flex the feet. Good. Yeah. And alternatives absolutely would be to have the left shin in front of the right, sitting cross-legged. Deep breath in. Then you can either stay here or you can start to fold forward if that is a possibility. Good. Use as many props as you need to help support the knee. Good. I know you weren't expecting to have to do another bigger hip stretch right after that one. Good. Keep your breath moving. And again, if you're wondering what's supposed to happen here, nothing. What's supposed to happen is that you're supposed to relax into yourself so that you're not distracted by the sensation in your hips or your thighs. You're taking care of your body. You're not distracted by a mind that is insisting that you should be able to do something other than what you're doing. Right? The poses bring you home to yourself. The practice brings you home to yourself. And how do you get there? Through your body, through your mind. Good. Walk yourself all the way back up. Beautiful. Unwind. So draw that left knee nice and wide, please. And then stretch both legs out in front of you for a moment. Give them a shake. Good. Inhale the arms up to the sky. Forward fold. So pressing down through the heels. Bow forward. Feet can be together or separated, your choice. Good. And then slowly unwind yourself, drawing your navel back and in like you're uncurling your spine. Come all the way back up. Good. And then bend your knees, cross your ankles, roll forward onto hands and knees. Come back to downward facing dog. Good. And we're coming into pigeon on the second side. So if you know you're doing pigeon on your back, you can set up for that. Left leg up and back behind you, down dog split. Good. Bring that knee forward and wide. Knee towards your left wrist, letting the shin come across. Good. And again, sending that back hip, right hip spinning forward more so that you can actually lift and widen your left hip point. Good. And then once you've set your pelvis, walk yourself forward. Good. Again, resting on forearms or blocks or whatever else you have. Dogs, children. Since dogs and children tend to do the same thing. Just be in your space. That's what they do. And cats, yes. Good. Keep the attention here on being able to press into your front shin. So it's not just everything falling down to the floor. By pressing into your front shin, you keep the muscles of that leg awake, which means your knee feels safer, your hip feels safer, it opens more. Right? We have to also strengthen as we release. The more difficult you find it to become friends with your mind, the more you resist that idea, or there's parts of your mind that absolutely not, I cannot accept. Practice that Maitri meditation again and again and again. So that right alongside your resistance, you are cultivating the loving kindness that says, okay, I can be resistant and I can practice acceptance. My mind is capable of both. Okay, take one more breath. Nice. And then if you are on your back, start to come up to sit. If you are on facing the floor, walk yourself back up onto your hands, sit towards that left hip, take your right leg around in front of you, fire log this time with the right shin on top of the left. Good, so ankle to knee if that is available. If not, the heel can be into the knee crease, the knee is slightly wider, or you can sit with your right shin in front of your left with your feet flexed. So a cross-legged seat with your feet flexed. Good. Using as many props as you need. Again, you can sit nice and tall here and just keep your spine long and breathe, or you can let yourself walk forward if that feels like it is available. Good. If you're leaning forward, you're actively trying to send your thigh creases back and down. So there's a sense of lengthening your lower spine back behind you. So you're not just leaning forward, but you're actually sending your butt back. It will also make more space for your thighs in the hip socket. Dissolving that sense of separateness, where it's perfectly okay to have categories of this, that, or the other thing, but can you remember that those categories make up a whole? They're part of a whole. As it says in the Upanishads, is that that wholeness, no matter how many times you divide it, is never lessened. It can't be. So no matter how much your mind likes to take things apart, it's impossible for what there is there to be any less than it always was. So we dissolve separateness from within, and one of the ways we do it is to start to understand your mind to be your friend. The way that you can experience infinity here and now. The way you experience bliss here and now. In and amongst all the rest of the whatever is going on. Walk yourself back up, please. Good. Unwinding the legs, drawing that right knee a little wider to the right, and then extending both legs forward in front of you. Yeah, give them a shake if you'd like. Good. And then inhale both arms up to the sky. Press your heels down, bow forward, reaching towards the feet. Good. Nice. And then unpeeling yourself again, start to draw your belly back round the shoulders. So as you come up to sit straight again, you're unpeeling your spine one vertebra at a time. And then inhale the arms up alongside your ears again. Good. And you're coming forward again, but this time round your back like you're leaning over a beach ball. So really curl and lean forward rounded. Yeah. And then stay rounded, stay rounded, stay rounded. And then maybe at the last minute, you start to send your sit bones back, and without dropping your ribs, you start to extend your collarbones forward. So you don't lose the rounding. You just use that as the support to lengthen your spine more. Good. And then release, unwinding that, uncurling the spine again, all the way back up. Nice, you guys. So come forward. Come forward onto your backs. Changed my mind. Lucky you. Come on down to your backs. I was going to do something else, but all right. Beautiful. Bend your knees, please. Take your legs straight up towards the sky. Good. And then take your arms out wide, palms facing down, pressing down and wide through the length of your arms, your shoulders, your low rib cage. Draw everything down. Straight legs. Point your toes. Why not? Good. Try to have your feet right in line with your hips. So that means that it's going to be slightly away from your belly more than you want it to be. Good. And then your right leg stays straight up. Start to let your left leg drop towards the floor until it hovers just a couple inches above the floor. Right leg stays up. Good. And then take that left leg straight back up alongside the right. And then switch. Right leg comes down. Keep your ribs and your belly hollowing in. And then switch the legs again. Right leg up and left leg down. So just straight forward and back, Ludmila, instead of to the side. Straight. Good. And keep going like that, switching, but making sure you bring both legs all the way up. No swinging momentum, okay? You come all the way up and then consciously bring the other leg down towards the floor with your breath. There's no prize for doing more repetitions here. Right? Pay attention to what you are doing, lengthening through the legs, feeling the connection of the legs to the lower belly to your middle ribs, middle back. Good. All these things that you do don't have a tremendous amount of effect if you are doing them without thinking, doing them without connecting. Good. Nice, you guys. Next time both legs come up, let them stay there. Good. And then bend your knees in towards your chest, hug. Good. Do a little massage on your lower back if you need. So circling the knees. Your abdominal work for the day, right? Good. And then come back to stillness. Take your knees wide, reach for your ankles or your insteps for happy baby. Good. Inner or outer edges of the feet, totally work. Stacking the heels on top of the knees. Keeping the lower back anchored to the floor. And Ananda Balasana is the name for this pose. Really says bliss, blissful baby, blissful child. That teaching is that you are born from bliss. It's the basis of your existence, the basis of your creation, and that is fundamentally true no matter what. Everything else is learning to experience it in and amongst all the other stuff. Bring the bottoms of your feet together, please. Heels in towards your groin, but don't drop the feet to the floor. Good, so you're holding the ankles, heels in towards your groin, knees angled up towards your armpits. Good, yep, so you can still feel the whole width of your lower back. Good, squeeze your knees in towards each other just a little bit. You can press your elbows against your knees if that's where your arms are placed. Yeah, so it's like a Baddha Konasana and you're squeezing in, but you're pressing wide. Good. And then release, hugging the knees all the way in towards your chest. Nice. Keep the right knee in, extend the left leg down to the floor, come into spinal twist, bringing the knee across your body over to the left. Right arm extends wide or up alongside your ear. Good. If you'd like, you can bend your left knee, kick your heel towards your butt and reach for the foot or the ankle, taking a quad stretch. Good. If you're holding that foot in the quad stretch, you still have to relax your right shoulder towards the floor. Good. Press your butt slightly back in your twist. And then unwind, releasing the foot if you have the quad stretch, coming back to center. Squeeze the right knee in. And then switch sides, right leg down to the floor, pull the left knee in, come into twist. And again, optional here is to bend the right knee, take your heel back and in towards your butt and reach with the left hand for the ankle. And then once you have that, you're still relaxing the left shoulder towards the floor. Yeah, you got it, Robin. That's it. Press your butt slightly back so you're not letting the whole front of your rib cage pop forward as you're actually drawing your sit bones back and wide even here. Good. And then release that ankle if you're holding it, unwind your twist, come back to center, squeeze that left knee in. And then plant both feet, bend both knees. Take one bridge pose, your final pose. So press through the feet, press into the upper arms, either elbows bent into robot arms or straight. And then peel the spine up off the floor from the back of your heart, rise up. And then lift the hips as well. Again, feeling the sensation of pressing down through the upper arms, widening the space of your shoulders, your upper back. Feeling the length of your throat longer and longer and longer. And then drag back on your heels so that you pull the lower spine long. Good. Don't let the knees splay wide. Hug them in. Nice. And then slowly release, unwinding the spine, one vertebra at a time. Pause for a moment when your hips come flat to the floor, knees bent. And you can begin to set up for your Shavasana. If you'd like to take that Shavasana in a supine Baddha Konasana, so bottoms of the feet together, you're welcome to start that way. Stay that way. If you choose that, I'm not going to cue you to come out of it. So whenever you're ready to straighten your legs, you'll just go ahead and do that. If you're preparing for Shavasana, straightening the legs out in front of you, palms facing up. Maybe coming back to the Maitri or the Metta, loving kindness activity where you see your own mind, the activity of your own mind, its personality. And in the spaces of you, the spaces that exist between what is your body and your mind and your awareness, just fill it in with love or loving kindness or friendliness or healing or wholeness, whatever word appeals to you. Very gently bring the awareness back to your breath, feeling the body stretch and move in whatever ways serve it well. As you're ready, draw your knees in towards your chest and roll to your right side. And take a moment before you begin to push the floor away. Come back to an upright seated position. Bring the hands back together in front of the heart center, palm to palm. Then notice that as you're pressing your hands together, that as much as you try, you can't flatten it completely. There's a little space in between. And so you can imagine this is the coming together of any two opposites, right and left, up and down, light and dark, your body, your mind, your awareness. And so there's that sense that when we have opposites, is we have space that is between them, separateness. And instead of saying, I have to dissolve that space into nothing, or I have to dissolve the opposites into nothing, instead fill in the space. And what you fill the space in with is what defines the relationship you have with those opposites. So if it's your body and your mind, and you fill that space in with anger because of whatever the issues are, then that defines your relationship. If you fill it in with love, loving kindness, that also defines your relationship. So this is the practice of yoga, is to recognize the relationship that is there already. And then can you cultivate it into a place where there is a feeling of togetherness already, because this is yoga, to be united, to be one. Your body, your mind, your awareness, whatever space there is between them that you perceive, fill it in with love. And that's all you need to do. But you need to do it a lot until that's all there is. You breathe into that you are already whole, or already made of bliss, that you experience it through your mind. So make your mind your ally, not your enemy. Deep breath in for Om. Sliding the thumbs up to the space between the eyebrows. Namaste. Thank you guys so much. Have a beautiful rest of your day, beautiful rest of your weekend, till I see you again.
Thanks, Veronica.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Veronica.